Hello and welcome back to a new episode of the Southeastern Sports Insider Podcast. Obviously, this episode's a little bit different. We're all on quarantine right now, so we're filming this episode over Discord. I'm joined by Connor and David. As always, say hi, guys.
Hello.
So this episode, we're just gonna be highlighting some professional sports news because obviously there is nothing going on right now in the high school sports world with a lot of spring sports being canceled or postponed. There's just been some news going around. First off, the first point I'd like to say is Southeastern Sports Network has a new video up on YouTube that Tristan Floor edited and made. It's just kind of like a funny moments and bloopers. It's on the SSN YouTube channel, so just
They've
want to
also
give a
been
little.
posting. They've also been posting their best games that they
Mhm.
broadcasted.
Yeah, they've been doing some rebroadcasts of that. So if you're ever bored during this quarantine or over this extended spring break that we're going to be having, there's always that. So our first talking point today is literally 5 minutes ago before we started filming. The Indy 500 has been postponed. So usually, what is it, in May?
It's Memorial Day weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, so they postponed it. It's going to be on Sunday, August 23rd, due to the coronavirus. So that's just...
Which was kind of expected.
Yeah.
I think they'd push it. I figured they would try to make that like as early as possible, just because that's usually like a early summer thing, obviously. But I didn't know they would try to push it. It's
definitely going to be weird going into like the fall having it, because I feel like the Indy 500 is kind of trademarked for being like the start of summer. So that'll definitely be weird.
The Yates in Indianapolis as the start of summer's Indy 500 weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Though I feel like every year I've been, it's like 95. So maybe I don't know if that'll be worse because it'll be in late August, or it'll be slightly better.
It'll be a little better.
Yeah. Better weather, hopefully. So yeah. So the next topic, we're just gonna get into some basic NFL news. So within the last few weeks, kind of free agency. It just technically started, didn't it? Where they could officially sign.
Last week, I think, sometime.
The biggest news is Tom Brady announcing that he was not going to be returning to the Patriots and then signing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So that was...
Yeah, that caught me off guard.
Yeah, so...
I figured he would leave, but I didn't think he would join Tampa Bay.
Yeah,
even how star-studded their receiving core is.
Yeah, he's going to have a great receiving core. But to me, it just honestly feels like a retirement move. Like he just wants to move to Florida. So like when he announced...
The thing is, to me, it's like, why would it's gonna? I feel like that's a lot of like the MJ to the Wizards type thing. Like I can't see them doing much of anything really, just because the offense Arians runs is like that deep pass, power run, play action. You kind of roll out of the pocket type thing, and Tom Brady's like 40 and can't throw it past 10 yards anymore. So it just kind of was. It's like a weird scheme type fit. So I don't know what he was quite thinking, but maybe it'll work.
How much better is the Buccaneers' offensive line? Because I feel like he'd want to be protected. I don't know how good the Patriots were, but I feel like I've heard that Tampa Bay's is pretty good.
Well, if he was looking for an offensive line, I think reports did come out saying that he had interest in coming to the Colts.
Yeah, that's what I heard too.
But the Colts did not feel the same, and the Colts wanted to.
I don't think he would do that to Peyton, because I feel like he knows that's kind of Peyton's town, and I don't think
he would
really want to disrespect him because they're friends.
It would definitely be weird
to see Brady in a Colts uniform.
Like obviously on the field they're rivals, but like at the end of the day, it's like Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. They're like best friends. I feel like that's the same way with Tom Brady.
Yeah.
A lot of hated on the field but admired off the field.
So the Colts ended with Phillip Rivers.
So I personally like it. I know a lot of people are not a fan of the move.
I see both sides.
I mean, go ahead.
As like, depends obviously because of how like unclutch Phillip Rivers has been. If their goal was to win a Super Bowl this year, obviously that would have been the right signing, and it would have been try to convince Tom Brady. But if you're gonna draft like a quarterback, maybe with your second round pick, and just like have him sit behind Rivers and
Mhm.
learn from him. I think it was the perfect move. But I guess it's just all what the fans are expecting and what the organization wants to
Yeah, I
do.
can definitely see them drafting either drafting a quarterback in the second or even trading up into, like, the first and, like, late first round, and trying to see if they can maybe steal, Jordan Love, because I know
Yeah,
that was a quarterback they were looking at with the 13th pick before they traded it for DeForest Buckner, who, all-pro defensive lineman, was a great signing, I think, for the Colts
signed to a
as
huge
well.
deal too with the Colts.
Yeah, second highest paid defensive lineman of all time,
And then they
I
also
believe.
just signed someone else from the 49ers,
What's his
Sheldon
name?
Day.
Sheldon Day, yeah, he went to Warren
A
Central,
D, yeah, a
played
D
at Notre
tackle.
Dame. I was looking at his stats, he started every single playoff game for the 49ers, so that was
Is he is he a safety? I want to say, or what is
No,
defensive
he's
tackle.
D tackle.
defensive tackles?
So
Mhm.
I wonder if that
Well,
kind of just shies away from the talks of Jadeveon Clowney coming to the Colts.
Yeah, I honestly didn't even think that was ever gonna happen. I know there were a lot of rumors
Yeah, I
money
about
to
it
heard talk
commit
between
about
to
it, but
defensive tackle.
mhm, but, uh, I just feel like Jadeveon Clowney doesn't really Colts, Colt, if you will.
mhm.
I know it's kind of, like, corny to say, but, like, he's not a great locker room guy. I don't know. It just feels like he wouldn't fit with the team very well. He's a super talented
For
player,
me,
but
he's on like the back end of his NFL career, like as being a complete star. And do you really want to commit 19 million to a guy who's like he's more of a run stopper, if anything, too. Like he can rush the passer, but like $19 million to a guy who's on the back end of his career and can't really rush the passer, especially now. Like I definitely think that would have been a mistake, especially with how much money they already had on their defensive line.
right, and he's 27, DeForest Buckner's 25, so both of them are fairly young. I mean, DeForest
Exactly.
Buckner's really young. Jadeveon Clowney's not really old yet, but
Fair, yeah.
he's
I
How
mean,
had some injury history, right?
how old is
yeah.
Sheldon Day?
I think well, lost David, he's back. Sheldon Day is 25, so they're both very young. Um, if I had to guess,
So
DeForest
those are guys that you could look at and say those guys will help you for 5+ years. Like, I mean, what's an average or not average, but like on the back end, you can produce at 25, 29, 30. But once you start getting into like 31, 32, that's when you really start to like tail off.
right, right. Um, so that kinda wraps it up for the Colts, Tom Brady aspect. Another big, trade that happened was DeAndre Hopkins, getting traded to the Cardinals. Oh, we keep losing David there. So DeAndre Hopkins got traded to the Cardinals, for David Johnson and a 2020 second round pick and a 2021 fourth round pick, and all, Texans gave up was DeAndre Hopkins. So a lot of people think that the Cardinals just Houston on that deal. And a lot of people are calling for Bill O'Brien's head after that one.
Yeah, I don't get
Uh,
that trade.
it really does not make sense. DeAndre Hopkins is probably the best receiver in football. Um,
I'd
definitely
say.
up there for debate with like the. It just does not make sense at all, really, to get David Johnson too when they already have
No
Lamar
problem
Miller.
trading for him or trading him in general, but like I feel like you should definitely have gotten something more because especially for how much teams are willing to pay for wide receivers and how much they're willing to give up for one and how much like the fans value them. Like it's an easy way if you trade away your star receiver to have the fans kind of turn on you like what we're seeing. So I definitely would have at least asked for 2 first round picks. I think that would have been a fair compensation for him.
hmm And even I don't get why they got David Johnson of all
Yeah,
people.
he David Johnson hasn't been relevant since 2 or 3 years ago.
And if it weren't for
Stud on
that,
the fantasy team 3 years ago, though. Absolute
uh,
fantasy monster.
Lamar Miller towards ACL, didn't he? Is that what happened in the preseason?
I believe so.
So he was gonna.
Good anyway, but like I think there's definitely an easy obviously you can get a third round running back can be like a day one starter. So I don't think it's like, oh, we necessarily need to trade for David Johnson if Lamar Miller's out, especially since Lamar Miller wasn't the point of your offensive production.
And Duke Johnson wasn't bad last year at all. I mean, he was solid. Obviously, could have been better, but
But when he'll get more touches, or now he'll get less touches, but he would have gotten more touches, so you could have really seen what he would have given you. But now that he'll have to split carries with two more people, assuming Lamar Miller comes back.
I guess he wasn't as good as I thought he was. Really, he kind of sucked. Yeah, rushes for 410 yards, 2 touchdowns. So
Catcher's the thing. Like he's always like running routes. That's what his main claim was. Like back in Cleveland, everybody liked him because he would just catch everything.
Yeah, but it's definitely a questionable trade there for Bill O'Brien and the Texans. And another big thing that just happened within the last few days, the Panthers announced that they will not be bringing back Cam Newton. So there's another quarterback who was on the same team for his career and will be on a different team coming up. And they signed
He's really their
PJ
franchise
Walker.
player too.
Yeah, really. I can't believe that they. I guess I can see it, but
To go to a guy who's had so many question marks outside of that Super Bowl run. I mean, he's been up and down at the best. So I don't hate that move, but I definitely think the way to do it just as like a class act kind of way, like maybe release him before free agency so that he has a better chance of getting signed and better chance of getting situated as a starter. Now he's kind of like scrapping to get on a team, and maybe no teams see him as a starter right about now.
I bet the Patriots get him.
There are some teams. I've heard talks of the Bears wanting him too.
Who'd the Bears just signed?
Now, though. Yeah.
Who'd the Bears just
They
signed?
traded for Foles. Nick Foles.
That's right.
Oh yeah, they did do that.
So they're finally saying goodbye to Trubisky, which is probably a good move.
Very, very good for them.
The thing about the Panthers now, so they released Cam Newton. They're not going to bring him back, and they immediately signed PJ Walker from the XFL, former Colts quarterback. So now on their roster, they have Teddy Bridgewater, Will Grier, and PJ Walker before they just traded Kyle Allen, I believe. So at one point, they had 4 quarterbacks on their roster after they had not brought back Cam Newton.
Mm-hmm.
So they are stacking up on those quarterbacks.
Start Bridgewater. Backup is Walker, and then I bet they'll either trade or cut Grier on draft day.
They won't be able to get
There's
him.
no reason to keep 3 quarterbacks.
Yeah, and they won't be able to get him.
Or do they still have Kyle Allen also?
No, they actually traded him.
Oh, they traded to the Redskins.
Yeah. For who?
Just for like a 4th round pick, I want to say. It was some pick.
I think that sounds right.
I know it was a pick. I don't know exactly what pick it was.
I am not
5th round pick.
5th round, okay. So
late round pick, just trying to get them off the roster.
Yeah,
and they're just in the rebuilding
obviously
process.
They had like 4 quarterbacks at that point, so.
I'd definitely say they're the worst
Washington now?
Because NFC
now that the South, Buccaneers have Brady.
Yeah, the Buccaneers probably have one of the best offenses in the league.
Atlanta got Gurley, so they're going to be good too.
And then Drew Brees announced that he's.
I think Atlanta's weird to me.
They are a weird team.
Yeah, they did really bad last year with, I feel like, pretty much the same roster as they had 2 years ago when they were really good.
And it was the year before that, or 2 years before that, they were just in the Super Bowl. Probably should have won the Super Bowl, but one of the biggest chokes.
Atlanta makes the playoffs, so I think you could see 2 or 3 teams from that division go to the playoffs. I think New Orleans definitely wins it, but I think Atlanta and Tampa could be in the wild card.
I definitely see Tampa getting wild card.
Yeah, it just depends if Atlanta can bounce back from last year.
It'll just depend on Matt Ryan actually having a productive year again. So
They
I think
also just did they release Devonta Freeman or did it just not sign him back? Or
they
did they didn't?
released him, right?
Yeah,
So how old is he now?
I feel like
Around a
he's
while.
really
28. So he's
28.
Yeah, he's
he's
pretty
the
good.
same
He's up
age
there.
as what's his name? David Johnson and Duke Johnson were the two 28-year-olds, I think. So I think that's most of the NFL news from the last week or two. And then around the NBA, there's just been more confirmed cases. So I think there's only been 5 that they've released the names of. And that's Rudy Gobert. He was the first one. And
I
then
think
Donovan
those are just the
Mitchell.
big names. I bet that the
Yeah.
other
Well,
cases just aren't the big names.
now they're leaving it up to players
Yeah,
specifically if they want to say that they got it. So like they'll say, for example, I think the Nets had 4, but only Kevin Durant said that he
yeah,
had it.
yeah.
So it could be anyone on the Nets. And then the Lakers, I think, had 4 or 3 or 4, and they're just leaving it up to the players themselves. So there's been 14 confirmed cases around the league. And actually
Those
today they
actually were
announced. Go ahead.
showed symptoms though, because like Donovan Mitchell said he was fine. He was just a carrier, but like
Yeah,
do we
I think I
know
saw a
how many?
quote from today or the other day of Donovan Mitchell saying if they told him to lace up and play 7 NBA games tomorrow, he'd be fine. Like he has not
I
had
was
any
wondering,
symptoms.
like, just those 4 people on the Nets, like, are they in good health or are they like sick or what's the
Yeah,
deal?
that's
Or is it like,
information that I'd like them to release. I mean, I get that it's all private and stuff, but
Kevin
just
Durant though? Is he sick or is he just a carrier as well?
I'm not sure.
I
I
haven't
know
heard anything.
Rudy Gobert said he's been really sick. He was the first confirmed case.
Bayer said he could play though. He said he was sick, but he was like, if they wanted me
He
to
said
play, I
he's
could have
had
played.
loss of hearing. That does not sound.
Hmm. Yeah, I
Might be
don't.
an isolated incident.
Yeah. And today they actually just released that Christian Wood, the virus passed through and he's all good now. So he's healthy. So he had like 2 weeks maybe with it, week and a half. So that's a good sign that it's clearing up fast if we just continue to stay isolated.
Thing is, it's
And then
weird because like all the NBA got tested, but even the guys that were showing no symptoms. So I wonder if like there was a if you in the United States just how many people would have it and not even realize, which is kind of the weird thing about this sickness.
Yeah,
Well, I read the Warriors weren't going to test their players because all these NBA teams were spending all this money um to test all their players, but the Warriors weren't going to do that. The owner said that they don't want to waste the test kits because they want people who actually need them to use them. So none of the Warriors got tested
Probably.
unless they did it on their own money. So that's probably a good
Hmm.
move for them. Really, like unless you have someone on the team who really like can be affected by it a lot. Like I know JaVale on the Lakers, he has really bad asthma, and last year he got the flu, and he was in like critical condition with the flu because of his asthma. So unless you have a player like that who can be really in danger for it, I think it's the best move, like the Warriors did, to not waste testing.
yeah. I thought it was cool too how like Mark Cuban and all like the owners and
Yeah.
people made sure that their hourly workers were paid for.
I think Joel Embiid just donated like 500,000.
Yeah, I think Drew Brees donated like $1 million or something today.
Oh, speaking of
Louisiana.
the Saints, Sean Payton.
Yeah, he said he's feeling better too.
Yeah, I think he cleared it. So his was only like 3 or 4 days. So really,
Yeah,
Christian Wood
I
was
had
like,
it for much longer before he actually got tested
yeah,
then because it usually stays in your system for a couple weeks
yeah.
or a week or two.
But I think just about every um, owner in the NBA has donated for their arena workers. Um, and then a lot of players, like you said, I know Rudy Gobert donated a total of 500,000. He did like 100,000 to Utah because that's where he plays, and then 100,000 to Oklahoma City because that's where the game was. that they were playing, they got canceled. The first game they got canceled for it, and then like 300,000 to because he's French.
Yeah, there've been a lot of teams and players who've just been donating to make sure that everyone's being helped out.
Which is definitely the right move because it sucks for everyone that we can't be working through this time, but it's definitely good that these people with money are doing what they can.
They're willing to help the people that aren't as fortunate.
Mm-hmm. So I think that about wraps it up. Is there anything else you guys want to add before we?
I'm good. Stay inside.
Stay inside.
Wash your hands.
Of course, 20 seconds at least. Just stay safe. All right, that'll finish up this episode of the Southeastern Sports Insider Podcast. Like we said, if you get bored during this break, go ahead over to the YouTube, watch some videos there. We're rebroadcasting a lot of the best games. I know Fishers and HSE from 2018 will be the football game will be rebroadcasted there, so that is definitely a really fun game to be a part of.
Social media is also doing spring players, like bios and stories about them.
Yeah, featuring a lot of them because in a tough situation right now, not being able to perform or do their sports. So trying to highlight all those and just trying to make the best of this bad. All right. Thank you.